Hi there and welcome. Thanks for tuning in again. Now, I had a whole different opening to this video, but just as I was about to edit it, I just checked the news and I'm extremely pissed off. And I asked this question: why is the Daily Mirror editor such an absolute scumbag? Now, please listen to this video in its entirety and pay particular attention to what the professor says towards the end. Let's go. Now, though sometimes I release videos with some degree of sarcastic wit, though every single comedian I know of can rest assured that there is no threat to their careers, not from me, this is a really serious issue. And it's something that needs to be done to rein in this irresponsible behavior. Okay? Lives are at risk, families are at risk, and there's nothing more precious that I can think of than a life within a family. I refer explicitly to the most careless of publications in the Mirror, the Sun, and the Telegraph yesterday, or today, whichever way, who jointly released a message that a minister, not named, had said the UK had reached herd immunity. For such a statement to make front pages, as indeed it did, it does require some degree of consideration, both from an ethical point of view and from a professional viewpoint. And I'm talking about the editor. He must have seen that article. Now, with just 10 seconds research, I could prove beyond any doubt that it's a lie, this is not the case. And in a further 10 seconds, I could clearly identify that such a statement will cost somebody their life. I think it is reasonable to assume that the editor of this newspaper is completely devoid of even the smallest amount of public sympathy or awareness and should be removed from his job immediately because he's dangerously stupid. You know, with this type of publication, the oxygen of publicity that accompanies these articles enables the spread in such a predictable pattern that I feel sure that some thesis or dissertation has been written to analyze the effects. Unfortunately for many, navigating around that crap requires both the patience of a saint and the skills of a surgeon, as it reaches saturation point in just minutes, okay? And it gets repeated. So, as it was published yesterday in the Daily Mirror, I thought I would check out, this is the publisher of the Daily Mirror is that everything is better. I thought I would check out how best to report this dereliction of duty and why it is such a complete load of cockatoral and therefore endangering the lives of UK citizens. And why is it OFCOM sits by and doesn't even issue a rebuke? By the way, cockatoral is, that's what makes the grass grow green in the cow meadows, okay? Now, for some background, the Office of Communications, OFCOM, and the Independent Press Standards Organization called IPSO guard against the publication, or are supposed to, of harmful or offensive material by broadcast media and the press. However, considering that IPSO was funded by the media companies, has upheld more than 500 complaints, but hasn't issued a single sanction, I thought, really, what's the point? You know, there doesn't seem much point in that. But as I found out, there is not any real legislation designed specifically to combat fake news as we're speaking about. I mean, fake news that endanger lives. And even in the case of libel, the mere publication of a hoax is not enough for an individual to bring proceedings for defamation against the publisher under current media laws. It's not as easy as people think. But what I wondered about was what can be done if a media company is complicit in the act of delivering information that knowingly endangers the lives of the public. What can they do? OFCOM has a wide range of powers across television, radio, telecoms, and the postal service for some reason. But it also has a statutory duty to represent the interests of citizens and consumers by promoting competition and protecting the public from harmful or offensive materials. So I thought that, do me a favor, Rodney, let's have a gander at those guys. So What will or could Ofcom do about the article in the Mirror that says the UK has reached herd immunity? Well, don't put too much stress on your brain and let me help you out. Just to give you a little bit more, Ofcom released 27 pages on their site that list the complaints they've received since January 5th. Each page has 4 releases that angered the public. But the site does not list any publication that received less than 50 complaints, and many received thousands. So I opened each and every page of those 70. Now, to some of you that might appear that my life is rather boring, and by the way, my better half might agree with you, but what I did discover is that they had not registered a single complaint about printed media, not one. So I was genuinely shocked because I felt that Ofcom did have some authority here. So I called them this morning and I spoke with a Mr. Lee Parsons. I had a simple question. Does Ofcom deal with print media? Do they have any authority over print media? Any control? His reply was no. That's dealt with by IPSO. But when I told him my concerns that IPSO was paid for the very people that are publishing it, he said, nothing I can do, call the department. So I then contacted the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport to further establish the role of IPSO. The first thing you'll find out when you call that department is you'll be answered by a recording that tells you to send an email. Now, how a department that is responsible for communications doesn't communicate that on their website, that's beyond me, man. So I looked a little deeper into Ofcom. I mean, we've all heard of them. We all have, but I had no idea it was such a large organization. How big? Let's put it this way. The annual budget for IPSO, that's all the newspapers, or most of the newspapers, is 4.5 million per year. The annual income for Ofcom is 275 million. That's 61 times bigger than IPSO. But I have a question. Why are the media companies regulated with such a powerful lobby group, as in Ofcom, and the media is ignored? There's something suspicious there. Again, the collusion between politicians and journalists. So my question is, why should the British people be unknowingly subjected to news that endangers their lives and rewards messengers of this tripe with immunity? These newspapers can print and say what they want, no matter the lies or the consequences, unless, of course, a civil action for defamation of character is taken. But this is a different animal. But IPSO cannot do anything, even if they wanted to, because they're not recognized in this regard as a registered legal regulatory authority. But Ofcom is. But, well, you know, what a joke. But Ofcom, in fairness, did tell me that they were reviewing the disinformation, in a second phone call, by the way, not the same guy. They were reviewing disinformation and fake news final report, okay? And because there was a big report done. Now, this has 2 problems. Problem 1 is that it was released in February 2019. That's more than 2 years ago. And problem number 2 is it makes absolutely zero reference to anything regarding fake news being in the print media in the UK. It does, however, mention the influence of Russian and Chinese fake Facebook accounts and social media accounts and the range of Cambridge Analytica, but nothing about the print media. Oh, by the way, it also mentions that Mark Zuckerberg did not show up to answer questions. Big surprise there, huh? But it also doesn't mention anything about fake news being thrown out on the TV. Nothing about it. Zero. Okay? Now, this is why I asked the question in the intro. Just before I was doing this video, I saw the Daily Mirror today. They've reported that infections have shot up today. A further 31 plus thousand tested positive. The UK recorded another 85 deaths today. Their own words. This equates to approximately 31,000 per year. Per year. But even with this knowledge, they came up with this crap. Meanwhile, the UK has almost reached coronavirus holy grail, or herd immunity. thanks to the Euros. According to an expert, they add. Paul Hunter, a professor of drugs at the University of East Anglia. No such person as a professor of drugs at University of East Anglia. There is a professor of medicine at University of East Anglia. He said that mass mixing of younger people during the games may have helped to push the country towards safety sooner. Paul Hunter said no such thing. He did say that he was hopeful that things are kind of getting back to normal, which we're all hoping for. But he cautioned also that he expected numbers to decrease anyway because of vaccinations, and school closures are also going to help that cause. Okay? But in the interview you're about to hear, he said he cautioned that he expected numbers to rise this weekend and gave his reasons why. And guess what? They rose today. These media guys are spreading lies to meet their own agenda. That's all they're doing. Please, please, this one time, do the subscribe, do the like, but more importantly, please share this video, the link or whatever way you want to do it, and help to keep your family and friends safer, because these guys are being exposed to this crap. Just imagine the Mirror, the Telegraph, you know, they're exposing the people to this crap. You know, it's just not fair. But thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Are you surprised by this?
I wasn't actually, because I think for the last few weeks it's been clear that we've been expecting case numbers to at least plateau and maybe even fall after the end of the Euros, because we effectively saw that in Scotland, albeit 2 to 3 weeks ahead of us.
Now, the government says the R rate in our region is still between 1.3 and 1.5. That still sounds quite high, doesn't it?
It does, but you must remember that the R value that's presented is always a little bit out of date. It's compiled on data from a week or so earlier, so there can be some lag in how that impacts on what's happening today.
OK, well, talking about impact, last Monday, July the 19th, dubbed as Freedom Day. When do you think we're likely to see the impact from that, if any at all?
I think we'll see that probably Friday, and certainly by this time next week, certainly by next Monday, we will see very clearly whether or not Freedom Day has in fact increased transmission. My personal view is that I don't think we will see cases numbers increasing at the end of this week, but it is difficult to be absolutely certain.
What do you put that down to then, if the case numbers aren't going to go up?
Well, partly because case numbers at the moment are decreasing so rapidly. And that's almost certainly because we're at what's called the endemic equilibrium, or we're close to the endemic equilibrium of this disease, where the virus doesn't then continue to surge in the same way that we saw this last winter. The other thing is that when you look at Freedom Day, it wasn't just allowing us to attend mass gatherings and allowing us to attend venues. Schools closed for the summer holidays, and we know that when schools are closed, transmission drops.